were taught to stay small for the ones on the edge, ready, risking it all. This is your mirror, this is your crown. Stand closer, we're lifting you now. We rise like sisters, hand in hand. We don't break, we don't bow. We shout our stories, say our names, say 'em loud, say 'em proud. Hey! Lean like trains made of fire. Every note just takes us higher. We rise like sisters. Watch us now. Yeah, yeah. Oh, hey. We rise like sisters. Watch us now.
Good morning and welcome to the Women's Nest. Today we have Lisa with us. And Lisa has decided that her topic is going to be invisible disabilities. And I'm excited to hear that because for me, I have some family that has invisible disabilities. I know their particular struggle, but truly, I didn't know you had an invisible disability.
Yep.
And it's interesting for people to not know it and then know it versus they
Right.
know it beforehand, because I know I'm going to ask you probably further on that there can be a change in how they treat you.
Yes, definitely.
So
Hopefully.
hopefully, right?
Yes.
Right. And not in a bad way.
Exactly.
Not in a bad way. So Lisa, introduce yourselves to the Women's Nest as much as you want to
Okay.
share.
All right. Well, my name is Lisa Camo, and I'm 58. I'm very excited to be here. I've been able to watch some of the Women's Nest information, and I found it really helpful, and I'm very happy with what Danielle's doing here. So again, I'm happy to be here. I am 58. I suffer from hearing loss, so I'm going to show you. See, can barely see the hearing aids, so that's wonderful. I had there in the color of my hair, but it makes it a bit of a struggle for people to know that I've, got, hearing loss. I am also a woman in recovery. I am married. I have 2 dogs, and I am a happy individual. I am also working part-time, so my days are filled.
Nice.
So go ahead.
My first question to you would be the hearing aids, where they're so small and not noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
Do you enjoy it, but do you find that it can also be a disadvantage?
Absolutely, on both. I mean, it's great that, technology has changed. It continues to change all the time. And, we're all probably familiar with how hearing aids used to look. They were, big structures and you could, see them very clearly. But, it's nice from even a vanity perspective that they, aren't as obvious. But what I find is that I need to tell virtually everyone I interact with that I have hearing aids. And that I'm hard of hearing or I have a hearing disability. It kind of my verbiage changes on the different situation. And, there are certainly situations where it doesn't make sense or isn't comfortable to share with people because, I could spend, virtually every conversation leading with that. And even people that I've told and that know, we forget things. So, I mean, I even have a friend who suffers from hearing loss, and there's times when I'm like, oh yeah, I need to remember how I speak to her, and I need to follow all the things that make my life easier. But a couple situations in which it really wasn't, all right, it was more difficult to explain them, is I had a couple jobs in retail, actually, and
Okay.
one of them required a headset to communicate with people like on the floor if customers were looking for certain things, and I couldn't wear the headsets.
Right.
So I always had to ask someone to communicate for me.
Okay.
And if it was a job that was, a full-time, what I believed a permanent job where I wanted to, stay for a while, I would have worked with them to seek accommodations. because there is the American Disabilities Act, which specifically focuses on school and workplace accommodations to make it more seamless for people to interact and be there. The other situation, which was challenging and actually still presents a challenge today, is I'm going to call it the COVID glass.
Oh, yes, please
Yes.
explain that.
So
Go
I was-
into detail.
Yeah, so working a register, common for customers to have comments about, do you have this? Or, just chatty even, don't you love this, all that. And I'd spend my whole time saying, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. And I do say excuse me a lot, or pardon me. And then sometimes what's most effective is if I say, I struggle with again, whatever words I choose to say, I have a hearing impairment. Can you please repeat that? I do find over time I've gotten much more comfortable with saying that because that's what leads to the best results.
Okay.
So even now, funny being on the other side of the COVID glass, it's almost more of a struggle because, store associates will ask for the credit card or, ask for, do you need anything else? And it's, they're specifically not speaking, they don't know.
Right.
And that's something I need to continue to be very patient with because people don't know unless I, like me, Lisa, specifically tells them.
Now, but do you feel that, now, to backtrack,
Yep.
how long have you been hearing impaired? Is it something your entire life, or has it become something as you've aged?
It's as I've aged, and
Okay.
it started in 2011.
Okay.
My partner at the time, interestingly enough, was getting very frustrated with having to repeat himself.
Okay.
And so I said, okay, this isn't fun. I'm going to go have my hearing tested. And they found out at the time that I did indeed have, a hearing impairment and I needed to wear hearing aids. So I was fitted. They made a great difference. I had a trial run for a couple weeks. And basically what happened is I was on private insurance at the time. Private insurance does not cover them. And I was looking at $5,000 out of pocket, which at that time I couldn't do. And, pardon me, that's a huge, huge issue with so many people. Hearing aids can range from like $200 in cost for the over-the-counter ones, or to $10,000. And obviously, not obviously, but what changes is your technology. And
Right.
as you move up the curve, the biggest issue with the hearing is hearing in noises.
Yes.
And so clearly, if you've got $10,000 hearing aids, they've done a lot of work and even like associated work for certain venues that will make it easier. But in 2018, insurance changed, life changed, and I was able to start wearing the hearing aids.
Okay. Now, I mean, the insurance thing, we could go on a whole,
Yes, we could.
there's so many
Yes.
issues with insurance and stuff, but it really, and I'm a big like socioeconomic person on the other side of my life. I just, it's frustrating. It's
It is.
interesting. And interesting, not always in a good way. So, like, if you didn't have money, insurance, if you were on state-funded insurance, they're going to give you the big clunkers because it's economical for them.
Right. And that's only if, in that scenario, you can afford them. I don't even know if they still make those.
Well, I can tell you they do.
Okay.
Again, I had said I have a relative that is hearing impaired, and because of their specific hearing loss, they can never do inside the ears.
Okay.
Theirs are always over the ears. I want to see if I'm comfortable saying this. I'm going to say it. Because again, I think I always try to make sure that it's not about people who didn't sign up for this. I signed up for this. But because they're so visible,
Yeah.
that we know when they have their hearing aids
Yes.
in versus when they don't. So it's a eyesight thing.
Yeah.
I can say, oh, they don't have their ears in. we need to, like you had talked about, face them.
Yes, that's huge.
Let them lip read, because they are a great lip reader.
Oh, that is a trait I do not have, so that is wonderful. Something I need
Yeah.
to work on.
Yeah. I mean, well, they've also had hearing loss their entire life. And yeah, so the insurance thing we could go on and on and on for. So because you have them in your ear and you don't have them on the outside, what is a positive and what is a negative to that?
Certainly, I would like to add one thing.
Yes.
Said in the right now, there's legislation both at the state level and at the federal level. So the state
Tell us
level.
more about that.
They're both in the very early stages. Contact your congressperson. And at the state level, it's really working with the various insurance companies. And at the federal level, it's Medicare. Medicare. Because the majority of hearing loss occurs between 70 and 79. So that population is on Medicare.
Right.
And, living on, fixed incomes.
Right.
So, as you were saying, socioeconomic, it's a double whammy right there.
Right. Right.
So, that's wonderful, and that's new legislation.
Okay. And like you said, it's an accommodation. It's a part of the American with Disabilities Act. And while some people may see it as a convenience factor, you can just hear better.
Yeah.
Why isn't it automatic, right? If someone can't walk, I'm not going to say automatic because you have to go through hoops insurance wise, but you can't walk. You're entitled to a wheelchair. You have a hearing loss. It's not like you're entitled to it right away.
Right.
You have to fight for it. And again, that is a very blanket statement because I know people who have had cancer and had to fight for things that they need.
Yes.
It's not to say one disability is easier than another. It's just this is what we're speaking of directly today.
Part of it is how it's classified. The equipment, it's not classified as durable medical equipment.
Interesting.
Which, I don't know, looks like equipment to me, if I may be blunt.
It is equipment.
And so that's part of the push with the insurance is getting it reclassified because the durable medical equipment is covered.
Okay.
So why it's been viewed that way, I don't know.
Right.
And
you can go down a rabbit hole and try to figure that out.
Exactly.
Become more frustrated and go on and on and on.
Yes.
And as a woman in recovery that you mentioned, the acceptance, the thing I can't stand because it's so accurate and true. There are things that you have to accept with a hearing loss, but there's things that you can also try to change.
Yes.
Right? You can accept that you have a hearing impairment, but you don't have to sit on your laurels and accept that the insurance doesn't cover it, right? It's not durable medical equipment. And if you have these times in your life where you have the ability to advocate, do it. Right?
Yes.
Don't just assume someone else is going to do it for you.
Right. Yeah. And it gets tiring, but it's critical. Because the flip side of it is, and I do this still, is I nod my head or I laugh. Like gauge their reaction. Yes. And what's interesting is, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, is one of the issues in general with the invisible disabilities is that it can impact memory and concentration.
Really?
And I find myself a lot not remembering things. So it could be attributed to the fact that I'm getting older, and thank you. I like to think that it has nothing to do with that. But it's that was something I learned because I did do some research on this as well because I need to learn more about invisible disabilities because it's not just sensory. It's a whole bunch of different, types of conditions, if you will.
Yep.
And so you know, that's just for me further reason to advocate for myself because, like, oh, wow, maybe that's impacting that as well, and I didn't realize it.
It's that chain reaction
Yes.
that you're unaware of,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Would you classify invisible disabilities? So we talked about how I have a relative that hers makes it almost not as invisible
Yeah.
as the vanity side of what you get to enjoy.
Right.
Well, I've been wearing a little brace on my wrist, and I wear it when I'm afraid that people are going to like roughhouse or come up and give you a hug, right?
Yeah.
What's that shot that hurts? You get it every 10 years and it hurts for a long time.
Oh.
And I remember getting it and someone like coming up to me and like,
Uh-huh.
well, it's not a disability, but it's that invisible layer that it hurts me. I feel it, but you can't see it. And that's how you've kind of had to live the better half of a decade, right?
Yes.
You said
Yep.
2011, so 15 years. Do you get more comfortable as time goes on to continue to explain this to people?
I'll tell you what's made a big difference in my life, and I call it advocates or advocacy or supporters.
Okay.
Is Joe, my husband, is very aware. And so he'll help me out in situations and, you know, remember like the key things, needs to look at me, address me by name, give a little lead in on the conversation.
Okay.
So, and then there's other people in my life that I've found. You know, I know you're aware of it and you're, you know, speaking beautifully and clearly and great volume. And, you know, that's kind of what I need.
Right.
And, you know, and the noises, and I know people that work in the field, and not necessarily the hearing field, but if they work with people with disabilities of any type, they're more apt to remember and be accommodating. But, you know, kind of outside of that, what's really helped me is education.
Explain that.
And so there's different, like there's the Hearing Loss Association of America. They're a very active community. They're national and local. I have been to a meeting, so there's another facet how active I am in, you know, helping myself. I have to like tell on myself that I'm like, you know, going through researching, taking notes, and I'm like, Lisa, you could be doing a better job for yourself. And I'll tell you, I went to the conference and I was the youngest person there by like 15 years. And
Oh,
so it made me a little angry.
okay.
And because I was like, why am I dealing with this now instead of 15 years from now? And, you know, hearing loss can result from a number of things. It can be illness, it can be structural issues, it can be genetics, it can be, you know, exposure to loud noises. And, you know, they've told me they have no idea. You know, one of the things I'm like, I hope this doesn't have anything to do with it, but I spent a lot of time in bars listening to bands. And I'm like, goodness gracious, I hope that hasn't had an impact on it. But like, they truly don't know. And I have actually asked the question, I'm like, is it because of loud noises? And they're like, we just don't know how it happened.
Okay.
I have had surgery on one ear because kind of the whole mechanism for how the sound waves get to your brain. There's a particular part of your ear that actually gets like hardens and
Yep.
it needs to be flexible. So they replace that. And now they
Okay.
always look for it in the other ear. But I can't even remember the question. I'm going advocacy.
Yep.
So there's the association, but I am very, very fortunate. One of Joe's children has just recently graduated from Emerson with a degree in communication sciences.
Wow.
And, you know, this can make me weepy, but it's funny. The first time I met her, she's like, and Joe's like, she has hearing aids. And she's like, that is so cool. And I'm like, at last, someone thinks it's cool.
My bionic ears.
Yes. But she, you know, as she comes across new information, she shares it with me. Whenever we're together, her, interaction with me is perfect. She's interviewed me for papers. She helps me interpret my reports. It's, she's working in the field now with infants, and it's just been, it's phenomenal, the help that
Another
she's given me.
resource for
Right,
you
exactly.
as you trudge through this part of your life as a journey. But,
Yes.
um,
And not everyone has that, but but it's like one of those things, look for it. In
Yes.
any case, look for the organizations. Like I have an illness as well, ulcerative colitis, which can be, I was shocked at the number of things that can be classified as invisible disabilities. Well, that can impact me at certain times. And so,
right.
what do? I get involved with the organization, figure out how I can communicate that. So it goes through everything.
Right. Wow. I want to make sure that we really touched on this. When you had an angry point,
Yep.
we could say, and I'm sure that, much like for me, my alcohol addiction, in specifically the earlier year, there was that ebb and flow. I'm pissed that I can't have a glass of wine on Thanksgiving like everyone else can. So, did you feel that sort of way? And does that continue in your life as you continue to live with hearing loss?
So it definitely continues.
Okay.
Because in certain situations, like, so say I go out to dinner with a bunch of people after a meeting. I need to be very careful of where I sit. I need to sit in the middle. I need to make sure, I try to pick people that know, or that, I sit with, other people because I know a few people that have hearing issues, try to sit with them because we're more sensitive to one another. And, but sometimes I just feel isolated.
Wow.
Because all this conversation's going on around me, and it can be hard enough in a group to jump into a conversation or participate fully, but I just have no idea what people are talking about. But
So someone like me who's got the squirrel brain, and I'm sorry, my back has been so
I'm
bad
sorry
lately.
to hear that.
See, squirrel brain. So someone like me, we go out to dinner, say there's 10 or 12. I could be on one end, but I can then chime into the conversation 8 people down.
Right.
And maybe you're one of the 8 people down. And now I'm trying to converse with you. And inadvertently, I've put a target on you.
That's harsh. But, you know.
It's harsh, but like I've put the spotlight on you, right?
Okay, yes, yeah, that
Like,
I understand.
Now I'm talking to Lisa, and now she, you have no clue what I'm saying.
Right, and that's when the ha comes into play, because it's like,
If you don't know Lisa in her hearing loss, you'd be like, that was not a aha answer.
yes, exactly. Yes, I get a lot of dumbfounded stares accompanied with that, and rightly so. And like I said, one of the hard points is that people will know, but people forget. And
If there was one thing that you would, okay, so if someone says, this is Lisa, what is like 3 words you would use to identify yourself? To make your life easier.
I suffer from a hearing impairment. Please keep that in mind. So apologies if I can't hear you. Kind of put the
blame on you.
So that's what I was going to say, and I realized that was wrong. Those are the wrong words. So just explain me. With the, but with the knowledge that people still don't necessarily understand. Because also with hearing aids, I think it makes sense to assume that I can hear all the time. My hearing is better than without them, but it's still not the natural hearing.
Okay. Now, do you find it to be taxing on yourself to have to say that, or we always talk about the coin, right? The situation
Yeah.
is the hearing. One side is, oh, it's so taxing. Or the other side is, I'm helping people understand me.
Yeah, it
How do
goes.
you view it today?
Yeah, it goes back and forth.
Okay.
And to be honest, a lot of it will depend on my mood. In that if I'm, feeling good and, in a setting with people that I'm comfortable with, then I'll remind people. Or, and sometimes it's a lot of, can you repeat that? Can you repeat that? And I try to remember to then remind people, remember I have a hearing loss,
Okay.
and be more direct about it.
Okay.
But, the whole, sitting at a table with a bunch of people talking and, any scenario like that is such a struggle. And it's like, I almost want to, ding the glass and say, hey, remember people, I have trouble hearing you. Please, bring it down. And, and then there's situations that are, kind of unique. I can't wear them in the water or near the water.
Yep.
So if I'm going to be at a beach with people, I literally just figure I'm just not going to hear what they have to say. Because
Right.
that's the degree I can hear a little bit, but it's not anywhere near as well as I can hear with the hearing aids.
Right.
They can get uncomfortable.
Yeah. And we talked about the expense of it earlier, right? Like, I'm not risking putting my hearing aids near water
Right.
and then have to pay again.
Yes.
Plus be out of commission of hearing for however long it takes to get the replacement.
Yes. And that mine are chargeable. So
Okay.
that has happened.
Oh,
Where they don't, like, I put them in the charger, but like I don't fit them exactly. And it's hard. It's really, really hard because I get so used to the level at which I can hear at. It's like I don't put them in the morning first thing. I take them out later at night just to give my ears a rest.
right.
But, those are obviously the big struggle points. But when I'm trying to conduct regular life with just one hearing aid, because I do wear them in both ears, I mean, that's a whole new level of struggle.
Right.
And
And I'm kind of connecting you saying, it's a struggle. Can I hear? Sure. Can I hear well? Absolutely not.
right.
My glasses, I've had my glasses since I was 4 years old. I cannot see without them
Yeah.
within reason.
Yeah.
My world is muted.
Mm-hmm.
I could walk around my house. I can't read anything unless it's like this close to my face. But I don't give that rest period either.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's funny, right? Because vision, I mean, that's a sensory impairment.
Yes.
But, I know I don't look at it that way. And I'm similar situation. Worn them since I'm 5. As time goes on, distance, up close, it all becomes, it's like, I'm like, I wish I could just throw on a pair of, nearsighted or, reading glasses and call it a day.
Yeah.
But at least I don't have to use my phone as a flashlight in a restaurant because I've got, the, well-fit glasses.
Yeah. You don't have to do this either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And that's interesting because, like, glasses are glasses and people don't, you got a double whammy, hearing and eyesight. Like you said, sensory on two sides of it. And people don't bat an eye about the eyesight.
Right. Yeah,
That-
because it's visible, right?
Right. So again, we go back to like, had to have the big guys,
Mm-hmm.
would people be more understanding?
No, that's a good question.
So I'm going to bring up a story because you brought up a memory of when you don't wear them near water at the beach. So we had gone on vacation with the person that has the big hearing aids, and they were going to the pool, and I was inside on this balcony, and I didn't think of it. I went and I was calling her name, and I'm like, oh wait, she's near the water, she doesn't have her ears in. So I yelled to someone else and said, show her.
Yeah.
Right? So they did this, and they pointed to me on the balcony. I literally said what I had to say in the voice that I'm using right now. And they understood me because, again, they can read lips like nobody's business. But if that was someone else that didn't know that they had a hearing impairment, they'd be like, wow, what a bitch.
Yeah.
Ignoring.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to ask you, have you come across that where people are like, oh,
I actually haven't.
really?
I'll tell you one of the most, and this is going to sound odd, kind of, there's the, hearing in crowds. The other thing that's difficult is loud noises hurt my ears.
Like a zing?
Like, it's like a literal pain, like on the inside of my ears.
Okay.
So, concerts in particular, right? So, one hand would say I shouldn't go to concerts. The other hand says, why shouldn't I be able to enjoy something that I love to do? But so, what do? I turn my hearing aids all the way down, which actually works as a muffer. I don't think that's a word, but we'll use it. I wear
Sounds like a word to me.
a headset, like noise canceling, but noise canceling to the degree that I can still hear things.
Okay.
I'm actually having custom ear protection made. I know, that was, I know, that's like brand new. Like I didn't even know it was an option because I've tried, 16 different, not 16, I've tried about 10 different things from Amazon and none of them really work or stay in the ears.
Okay.
I need to be careful where I sit. There's concerts that I've left. And, so it's just an odd thing, right? You would think like with hearing loss, why isn't loud noise going to impact it? But I've asked my doctors because, the other part of the cost structure is I see an audiologist, I see an ENT, I see another audiologist. It's, not cut and dry. So I wanted to mention the loud part because that's, in my opinion, unusual. I mean, my doctor said it's very common, but
Yeah.
I was like shocked when it started happening.
Because you would think hearing loss,
Yes.
not hearing amplification or hearing pain,
Yes.
right? Now, you talked about two things that I want to touch base on. One was the choices that you have to make to still live your life the way you want to, right? Going to the concerts, which you guys are concert goers.
Yeah.
Do you consider that a sacrifice, or I still get to do these things? I just have to be conscientious of what I'm doing. And does that affect? I mean, concert tickets are hard to come by. I don't know where you have to sit, if it's like the seats that nobody wants, so great, they're cheaper, or is that also a cost?
So it's, actually so part of the problem is depending upon the venue, you don't know where the speakers are.
That's what I was going to ask. And can you just be like, oh, we're going to go to Fenway Park, it's no big deal?
Right, like Fenway Park is like in the, the low bleachers, the loge or whatever they call it there is perfect.
Okay.
Like I don't need to do anything because the speakers are far away and the performer is far away and but Great Woods is horrible. They've got speakers up front, they've got them in the middle, they've got them for the lawn, and so I actually have plans to go to a show there over the summer and, just trying to look at the map and go from memory and say, where is it going to, be the best? But like I have to tell my husband, we might have to leave. And, and it really stinks, especially if we're going with friends. And, you've got carpooling and things like that. And, I've been to concerts with, typically we go with friends. So like we saw Creed. And after 2 songs, I was out of there. And, we tried, the seats we had, which were towards the front. We found some seats in the middle. We found some seats on the lawn. And they were just such a loud band that it didn't matter where we were.
Wow. So taxing, we go back to that.
Right.
I have
Exhausting,
to
you know?
explain, and I have to.
Mhm.
Mark's going to be like, you have to or you get to? I
I
love
know. I love it when you use that because I was like, never thought of it that way.
like, damn it, Mark.
Yeah.
Uh, Another thing that you touched on is the cost and the time.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not in a position to tell people like what your day looks like because I don't know what your day looks like. But I'm going to use my own life. Okay? I'm not even going to put cost in there. We're just going to talk time. I'm guessing ENTs, hearing specialists. Even if it's a local person, how often do you have to go to these appointments?
So the audiologist to be tested and the ENT is only once a year. But
You
whenever
say only, but that's still. And how long do those appointments last?
about an hour for the audiologist and about, 15 to 30 minutes for the actual ENT. But for me, I've got a few different things going on medically. So, like,
Yep.
I do all of my doctor work in Boston.
Was just going to say that, but what happens if you go to Boston?
Yeah.
That's an entire day,
It is.
once a year.
Yeah. And then there's the audiologist people that do the fitting, that do the tune-ups, that, help you clean them. I can see them up to 3 times a year. And they're affiliated with the hospital I use. So, and I tried going to one locally, and they were just like poof poof, like they just didn't care. And it could be because I didn't get my hearing aids there. It could be just a different level of service, could be a different level of training. I don't want to make a sweeping statement that,
Right.
but
It just wasn't a good experience. So you
Right.
continue to go to Boston,
right.
which again is a whole day.
Yes.
So now you've just for this alone, you've given me 5 times between cleanings, tune-ups, annual visits, so on and so forth. So that's 5 times a year for an 8-hour day,
Yeah.
give or take. My current situation allows for me to be able to do something like that, but I'm thinking of when I was really in single mom mode. My son was younger, he was fairly active. How do you find time for that?
Well, I will tell you, because of all the stuff that goes on with me, it's been a contributing factor to why I work part-time.
Right.
And why I need part-time that's extremely flexible. Because it needs to come first. I mean, some places are great. You can say, I've got this, I've got that. But, like, there'll be months where just everything collides. And it's like, I need this day off, I need that day off. Because, like you said, it is a full day. By the time you get in there, by the time you get out, it's, it's not running over to the next town and, getting, something done.
And you don't know the wait time, right? And that's no
Yeah,
shame
definitely.
anywhere. But I can go to my primary in Easton, and I can be in and out in an hour, or it could be a 2-hour. You just don't know.
Yes.
And something like that, you really want to care for your health.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of that. I frankly don't understand, folks that don't do that. It could be because I've been, like I mentioned, the ulcerative colitis. I've been dealing with that for over 30 years. And that was actually what first propelled me to going into Boston.
Okay.
And so I'm just used to getting stuff taken care of, because if I don't, like, bad things happen. And, I try to educate everyone about, don't let that slide. You're not feeling good, in a really funky way. Like, take care of yourself. You deserve it. But I can say all that, but we come back to insurance, right?
Yeah, we get, I think you and I have had conversations about non-US traditional
Yes.
ways of healing. My back right now is like the worst it's been in years. And I also haven't gone to the just chiropractor
Yep.
because I'm all about this extra stuff. But that costs money. But I did the math, and I was talking to someone and said, why don't our insurance companies give you vouchers because these practitioners that we're seeing, whether it's an acupuncturist, a myofascia, non-traditional
Yep.
medicine that has helped enormously. But it's in the thousands of dollars a year that I have spent on that.
Yes,
And that's
definitely.
not to brag, that's not to boast. That is
Medically necessary.
And I'm blessed that I can do
Yes.
that. Does it affect some other part of my finances? A little bit. But I'm willing to downgrade on a few other things to make sure I take care of this. And we just talked about it. The insurance, like, I haven't gone to a chiropractor in almost a year because these other people have been helping me. Now, I do think I need a tune-up, but that's okay. Why don't we have these options? Because like you
Agreed.
said, we're not taking care of ourselves. Then it's just going to keep building on other things. You know, you had touched in the beginning that hearing loss can also affect memory and cognitive things. That's only because you did the research.
Right.
Is your hearing
And it's new research, like research I did preparing to speak with you.
Wow.
Yep.
So like your specialists have never mentioned that to you.
I did not think of that, but that is an excellent point. And that's
Because
where,
it's not their
like,
wheelhouse.
right. And that's where things like a hearing conference, a hearing association come into play. Because, you know, they've lived it.
Right. Or they've done the research.
Yes.
And it's like they've done the heavy lifting. Right? It brings me back to people in 1934. They did the heavy lifting for us today. All I have to do is just do what's already there.
Yeah.
Right? So someone there in their 70s where you're pissed off that you have to go to this conference or you're going to this conference and you're only in your 50s, they did the heavy lifting for you.
You're right.
You just have to carry that message. Maybe to your practitioner. Say, hey, is there a connection that you know of that I could be interested in? Those are the things that sometimes we just rest on, right? I'm Lisa. I have hearing loss. It is what it is.
Yes, and that's kind of that brings it back to, like, I have a responsibility to myself as well. Like, I can't just sit here and complain. You know, I need to be vocal. I need to pay attention to where I sit. Like, when I speak from a podium, I try to make sure I use the microphone. I try to make sure I ask if people in the back can hear, because I got to practice what I preach.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's really, well, that's just, I think, being aware,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I think we touched on all the things that I was writing down as you were
Excellent.
talking. One other thing, though, and I want to make sure that we kind of close that loop, is the accommodations. Do you think that there's been enough accommodations? Where do you find accommodations could be lacking or where they're good? Let's not just focus on the negative.
So, in the hearing world, more and more things are becoming closed caption. I mean, even to the point of, like, Broadway shows. There'll be special movie viewings that are closed captions. There's some technology that will drown out background noise. That comes into a cost, but, like, and you're apt to see that at a big conference, like an AA convention or a hearing conference. But, you know, it's an accommodation. Interestingly enough, and I had heard of this and I forgot about it, there's such a thing as, and I might get the wording wrong, it's like called the Sunflower Program.
Okay.
And you can wear it on a lanyard, you can pin it to your clothes, and it signifies that you have an invisible disability. And it's used heavily in like transportation environments and like hospital settings. And like once I was looking into, airports and, hearing issues for flying, because if I flew by myself, like I would struggle, they call in the groups, it's a noisy environment, like I could miss, all sorts of stuff. And that's when I first found out about the sunflower.
Okay.
And so if I had been on my own, I could have gone to an office, gotten a sunflower. When it was time to board the plane, I could have been like, hey, some stuff's going on, and they would have made accommodations.
Okay.
And you can do that for all sorts of accommodations. And I'm going to refer to my list because I found this so important. Like, just invisible disabilities can span across neurological and developmental, things like autism, dyslexia, mental health, PTSD, anxiety, chronic illnesses, fibromyalgia, and then the sensory and medical issues.
Right. So
Like,
we
it's
really only touched on a fraction of
Right,
it.
it's a huge,
Right.
like, scope.
It's huge. And it's funny, like, I think I actually might have screenshotted that myself because I wanted to. Sorry, had someone text me.
That's
Wasn't
okay.
very good. Um, I did the same thing, and I was like, "Wow, we're only kind of like with my little cousin last week. We're just scratching the surface of
Yes.
so many things." And invisible disabilities, there's just so much. There's so much, and I feel like all of these that I'm doing with people, I have the subscription, so it's only 1 hour. But more than that, like I don't want to bog people down with so much information, but I feel like we could just talk for hours and hours and hours about these things.
Definitely. Because once you start, touching on the other areas, I mean, I know people that fall into all those categories,
Yeah.
and
And
I've
some of
never
them,
thought about it. And like,
well, the PTSD, right? Like
yeah, exactly. What first thing that came to my mind.
I suffered from that for a short period of time. And I don't want to say a short period of time because I think the acute level was so severe,
Mm-hmm.
but I suffered for it for many, many, many years. But I'm not sure I would still classify that as a disability on my own.
Right. But then you think about it, right? Say anxiety. I have anxiety. It's not crippling anxiety, but so is it anxious to fly? Sure. I mean, you've got like all sorts of deadlines, there's all sorts of people, there's, that underlying, oh my God, is this going to be okay? And, so somebody with like a severe, anxiety
Right.
issue, I mean, I would call a disability or, impairment.
Well, because it's disabling them from
Yeah.
functioning
Mm-hmm.
on I hate the word normal level.
Right. But yeah, but
But it's
that's
true.
like what comes to my mind for a word.
Nice. Um, any final parting words?
Um, Thank you for taking the time.
No,
Thank you
thank
to
you.
our future watchers and listeners. I hope this has been helpful. In closing, it's just about being aware. And,
Yeah.
I mean, asking, when you can, what will help. And, and then for someone like myself or someone with another, you know, impairing issue, do the research, help yourself. And,
Be
because
your own advocate.
yes, be your own advocate, personally, perfectly stated.
And that goes with anything medical. Like when you're talking about something like this, be your own advocate inside the office of the doctors and outside,
Yes.
right? Stand up for yourself and say, I cannot sit in this seat at a concert.
Mm-hmm.
Stand up for yourself and say, I have to leave. And not worry about the other people who are there because you have to worry about you.
Yes. No.
And, and that's kind of what the Women's Nest is about, right? Empowering yourself to help empower other people and just that community. So I want to thank you for getting vulnerable, talking about something that is a big part of your life, and sharing your experience on it.
Good. You are very, very welcome.
All right. So you hold on. I'm going
Okay.
to stop this. Take care. Talk soon.